Suspend your belief and open your mind. This is They Tried to Warn Us with your host, Ray Welling. Come in, Ray.
She wasn't a CEO or a futurist or a founder chasing moonshots. She was a marine biologist, a nature writer, and a woman who noticed that spring was becoming silent. Her name was Rachel Carson. In 1962, she published a quiet bombshell called Silent Spring, a book that would ignite the modern environmental movement. At a time when few dared question the post-war industrial machine, Carson exposed how chemical pesticides, especially DDT, were poisoning the soil, the rivers, the birds, and us. She traced the science, followed the money, and pulled back the curtain on a powerful alliance between chemical companies, government agencies, and a culture obsessed with progress at any cost. The backlash was immediate. She was called hysterical, unqualified, un-American. But she didn't blink, because Rachel Carson understood something the ad men and executives didn't, that the earth is not inert, that it remembers what we do, and that when nature goes quiet, it's not at peace, it's in mourning. Her words were graceful but fierce. She testified before Congress. She stood up to Monsanto. She spoke for creatures that had no voice. And she did all of this while battling breast cancer and knowing she might not live to see the change her work would spark. She died in 1964, but the seeds she planted grew into the Environmental Protection Agency, the Clean Air Act, and the Endangered Species Act, as well as a global awareness that the planet has limits. So, we brought her to 2025. We showed her collapsing ecosystems, oceans choked with plastic, weather made erratic by carbon markets, billionaires building bunkers, and forests traded for offsets and IPOs. She looked out the window, not with rage, but with grief. And she didn't say, "I told you so." She said, "Who gave you the right to forget the consequences?" Rachel Carson, welcome back. This world, so much of it changed by the forces you warned about. What do you see?
I see that the poisons have changed, but the logic remains. You still treat the earth as an object, a machine, something inert to be optimized.
We've made progress in awareness, but the damage continues.
Awareness is not enough. The question is, who profits from ignoring it?
Silent Spring warned that pesticides like DDT were killing birds, insects, ecosystems. Today we're talking about climate change, microplastics, extinction rates. Is this the same pattern?
Yes, it is still the story of short-term gain versus long-term survival. Back then, the silence came from dying birds. Today, it comes from melting ice, empty reefs, and the spaces where frogs used to sing. You still treat collapse as a cost of doing business.
You were attacked by corporations, accused of being unpatriotic, of being a hysterical woman. Sound familiar?
Industry will always fight accountability. And it will use whatever language works: patriotism, progress, growth. What has changed is the sophistication. The disinformation is now data-driven. The denial is algorithmic.
Now we have entire think tanks funded to cast doubt on climate science.
You have industrialized uncertainty, manufactured the illusion of debate, and outsourced doubt to spreadsheets.
Today, companies claim to be carbon neutral, selling offsets, planting trees. Isn't that progress?
That is branding, not balance. Offsets do not undo emissions. They create a moral license to pollute as long as the math looks good. Nature is not an equation. It is a system. You cannot buy back equilibrium. You must live within it.
Let's talk about tech. We now have geoengineering proposals, climate data, satellites, ocean cleaning robots. Is technology our savior?
Only if it is guided by humility. But I see very little of that. You are still trying to out-invent the consequences of your last invention, but you cannot tech your way out of hubris.
So, what's the alternative?
Live with less. Restore. Regenerate. Rethink what you call growth.
You focus on ecosystems, but today we talk a lot about environmental justice, how pollution affects poor communities and communities of color disproportionately.
Yes, the environment is not a separate issue. It is the ground on which every injustice plays out. Pollution is not equally distributed, nor is silence. Some communities are poisoned, others are ignored. You cannot save the planet without confronting inequality.
Some of the richest people on Earth are now investing in climate tech, carbon capture, seed vaults, backup plans for civilization.
Then let them answer this. Who gave you the right to turn survival into a subscription model? The Earth is not your lab or your legacy project. It is your inheritance and your responsibility. You cannot privatize resilience.
What would you say to the generation growing up now, under fire, under water, under pressure?
You are not powerless. You are not too late. You are part of the living world, and when you fight for it, you are not alone. You are joined by every bird, tree, coral, and child yet to be born. Do not wait for permission to speak or for proof that your actions matter. They do.
That was Rachel Carson. She stood alone in her time, armed only with science and conscience, and she showed us that the smallest voice can change the course of history. Until next time, protect what cannot speak, defend what cannot vote, and remember, the earth is not a resource, it is a relationship. If you like this podcast, you'll love the book. They Tried to Warn Us, now available as an ebook or in Dead Tree version, contains not only transcripts of all podcast episodes this season, but more background and reflection on each dead thinker, along with a list of their key works and adjacent readings. And get this, there are extra chapters with plenty more thinkers we didn't have room for in a 10-episode season, including sci-fi writers Philip K. Dick and Ursula Le Guin, poet and mystic William Blake, political theorist Hannah Arendt, and my personal favorite, the Lizard King himself, the Doors singer and songwriter Jim Morrison. Follow the links in the show notes or head to raywelling.com to order your copy. Heed the warning. They Tried to Warn Us is a creation of Clear as Mud Productions. Sound effects courtesy of Zaplats. Music is Secret Agent by Techno.